Have you ever seen those optical illusions where it's a black and white picture, and if you look at it a certain way, it's the portrait of, a young girl. And if you look at it from another way, it's the portrait of an old lady. Have you ever seen the little optical illusion where if you look at it one way, it looks as if there's just squares on a piece of paper. But if you look at it another way, you see the word Jesus. These types of optical illusions, on one level, is my thought about Epiphany today. When you see one thing or you see another thing. What is it that we see when we think of Epiphany? We think of the three kings, we think of the stars, and the like. And you may have seen, or you may see today, all those programs on TV which are trying to explain the Epiphany. One theory is that the Epiphany, the star, is a conjunction of two planets. So they combined with one another, so to speak, and the light was extra bright in the sky. There's another theory that it was a supernova. A planet blew up. And by the time it reached the Earth, that was the star. How they followed the star, one theory is that with those two planets that were lined up, because of the way they're situated in the Earth's sky, they kind of wobbled against each other, and that wobbling was what the people saw and followed. I don't know. But from our standpoint, they were missing the point. When you look for something only scientifically, you're looking at it in a certain way, but sometimes you can be blind to the other side. This being blind, this seeing it only one way, is represented by Herod and the Jewish priesthood versus the three magi. The three magi, who were from the east, they weren't necessarily kings. They were astronomers or astrologers, or just simply wise men, learned men. And they saw this. And for them, how did they come to Israel? Why did they come to Israel? One of the theories is that at the time of Jesus, the one constellation that represents Israel, and I can't remember which one it was, whether it was Sagittarius or Aries or, whatever. That's where the star appeared. So that's how they knew to come to Israel. They were looking for an important person. Herod was looking for a rival, somebody that he had to kill so that he would keep his throne. And in the end, they didn't realize what they had under their sight, under their nose. They had the Savior. The Epiphany was to manifest Jesus. At this time of the year, Jesus is manifested 3 times. One at Christmas, one at Epiphany, and the third at his baptism. Our meditation today, do you see Christ or do you see something else in your life? When you come to church, do you see Christ or do you just see, a possible saint? Do you see Christ or do you see a man? Do you see Christ or do you see bread and wine? Do you see Christ or do you just see people? The epiphany of the Lord can be right under our noses, and we don't see it. Do you see Christ working in the world? Do you see the salvation of Jesus working in you, working in me, working in all of us? Or you see what you only want to see? Sometimes it's difficult. You know, when I saw that picture of, the maiden versus the old lady, the crone, I had a hard time finding the lady. All I saw was the crone. And people were pointing out, well, here, look along this line. I didn't see it. Do you see Christ? Do you see Christ and are led by that star? Let me give you something else to think about. If we're following Christ, if we're trying to see Christ in the world, how do we see it? Who, what, where is the star? The star, for our meditative purposes, is right here. Do you proclaim Christ to others? Do you shine forth the holiness of God? Do you help lead others to God? Are you filled with the holiness of His light? Or do you want people just to see you as some nondescript person? Our role as Christians, and I'll basically end it here, our role as Christians is to lead people to Christ. Do you lead Him? Do you lead them? Do people see Jesus in you and follow you? Do they come to Christ? Not necessarily understanding the true reality, but knowing something is there. Let Christ shine among us. Let Christ shine among you. And thus, we follow, and everybody follows this light of Christ and come to salvation.